We're going live in a few minutes, just setting some final things up. It's not streaming to Facebook, so I gotta fix that real quick, of course. We're doing our first multi-stream. Finally, I've had this RTMP server for a minute that I've configured, but never configured it for forwarding. So I went ahead and did that. Probably might do a video on that actually. It'd be some good content. 18041. Got to kill that process, and then go in here into the comp file, Facebook. All right, go down here and just edit my stream key real quick. Sorry about that. Talking out loud helps me work out through problems. And that should do it. Let's go ahead and check. All right. And boom, we are live, guys. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. And we should be live on Twitch and Twitter. But I'll have to double check. So how you guys doing? I haven't streamed in a minute. Let me give you a quick update of what's been going on in my life. Those of you who've been following me on social media have known that I've started a new contract with my business. We got a new contract with Agronomics. So I've been working with that full time for the past month. Also doing a lot of traveling and whatnot. Been working on a lot of apps, a lot of side projects I'm trying to finish up before the end of the year. Next year, starting in January, I really want to have a clean slate on side projects so I can dedicate 2019 to treat me at home. But before we start, if you guys are watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button that's in the lower right hand corner. And for those of you who are on Facebook and on YouTube, go ahead and share and like this video. I'm trying to get as many people on here as possible. And today we are talking NativeScript. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over. My scene. Oh no, wrong screen. All right, cool. So yeah, we're talking NativeScript. NativeScript is awesome. It's been around for a little bit, but it's finally evolved to a point where I'm using it in production level apps. But this is awesome JavaScript framework that allows you to build truly native mobile apps using Angular, Vue.js, TypeScript, or JavaScript. And when I say truly native, I mean truly native, like how React Native makes truly native apps. This isn't Ionic or what is Ionic? Cordova, or you're building a web app and it's basically loading a mobile app with a web view in it. No, this is an actual native, down to the core. You know, it compiles to Java or slash, I don't remember if it's Swift or Objective-C, but you know, you're getting an IPA, you're getting an APK, you're calling the native APIs using JavaScript core in the V8 engine. And the V8 engine is, for those of you who are not familiar, is what powers Node.js, which is also the same engine that React Native uses to achieve the same goal. So let's look at NativeScript and why I decided, oh no, I didn't mean to go to the playground. Why I decided to use it in production level apps. Well, one, Vue.js is my bread and butter. This is what I do in my day-to-day with my contracts and on my YouTube page. If you're a fan, you've been following, you know as much. So the learning curve for Vue.js developers, I can't really speak for Angular because I don't really use Angular, the TypeScript, and you know, I don't really do plain vanilla JavaScript. But the learning curve, if you're a Vue.js developer, is zilch. You can get right started in building out these apps and putting out mobile applications. Now, everyone who knows me knows that I am a huge fan of PWAs, progressive web apps. I still believe they're the future. I still believe that, you know, mobile apps will take a back seat to progressive web apps. But right now, mobile apps are still what the people desire. You know, web apps are cool for B2B applications, and you know, a lot of developers prefer doing web apps over mobile apps, and I understand that. But when you're trying to build apps that appeal to the populace, you need to go where the sentiment lies, and in this case, it lies with mobile apps. So, those of you who may not know my background, I started out before I did web development, I did mobile app development. Then I went to web development, and then now I'm going back to mobile app development, basically, but using web technology. So it just seems it's just a perfect fit. But NativeScript, you know, the problem that I had with Ionic, I did a lot of Ionic and Cordova programming with some contracts. Like when I was a senior developer at Sephora out in San Francisco, I did a lot of Ionic and Cordova development. Now, the problem with that is performance issues. You know, you're not going to get that buttery performance that you're going to get with doing native app development. And for me, that ended up being the thing that I chose not to continue with Ionic and Cordova. It was a lot of janky, hacky solutions to try to get what you wanted when I could just do it in Java in a few extra lines. It really wasn't that big of a deal. It ended up being more of a headache actually than not. So when I came across NativeScript actually last year, but the Vue.js integration wasn't quite ready yet, so I kind of left it alone. And I was like, oh, this looks cool. You know, we got native performance. You know, I was still leaning and learning React Native at the time, but I was like, well, they're working on an integration with Vue.js, so I'm going to give it some time and come back in a few months. So, you know, about a year later, I came back and I'm like, oh wow, they've really come up. So I started doing some test applications with it in Vue.js, and I instantly fell in love with it. So much that all of my current PWAs that I've done, not interviews, but I've done broadcast on and wrote blogs on, I'm converting those into mobile apps, and I'm going to be putting those on my Android app store, or my Android developer portal. So, you know, why do you need NativeScript? Let's just go on the web page. Native performance, beautiful, accessible, platform native UI without web views. Define once and let NativeScript adapt and run everywhere, or tailor the UI to specific devices and screens. This is one of the reasons that SAP chose NativeScript. And there's a link to, you know, that testimonial. Extensible. Easily reuse existing plugins from NPM, CocoaPods, and Gradle directly in NativeScript projects, plus hundreds of NativeScript plugins. So another thing that I really love about NativeScript is that you can use all NPM modules. You can just put that into your app. So really, you keep a completely web developer mindset when you're developing your apps. It just makes it kind of feels like cheating. That's how easy it is, and we're gonna get to it. This is actually going to be video number 1 or broadcast number 1 of a live playlist, and we're going to be building NativeScript app using Vue.js. Easy to learn. Use the web skills you already have to develop truly native apps with JavaScript, CSS, native UI markup, and native UI markup. So going back to what I'm saying, you know, you keep a completely web developer mindset when you're developing these apps. Cross-platform, write and deploy native mobile apps for iOS and Android using a single code base. Use Angular or Vue to share existing web-based code. You know, don't need to really reiterate on that. Strong backing, backed by progress, decades of experience creating and supporting software for developers, mission-critical enterprise support is available. Okay, so it's basically what they're saying is, look, they have a really good scaling. Like, it's really like you can use NativeScript for production-ready apps. You know, you don't have to worry about, man, if I have 100,000 people using this app, is it going to crash? No, it will not. And of course, the one that every developer loves, it's free and open source under the Apache 2 license. So how does it work? You build your UI with an HTML-like syntax. You're basically using NativeScript XML to build out, or you can do it programmatically with Angular, Vue.js, what have you. And you know, you build out, you build out your components. If you have done native Android development, then this is just like your XML when you're building out your layouts. You write your app logic with JavaScript / Angular / Vue, and then you style it with CSS, and it compiles to IPA APKs. And then of course they showing everybody that uses it. Loved by tens of thousands of customers. You have Target using it, Volvo, Bosch, Salesforce, Johnson & Johnson, Samsung. You know, so they got a lot of reputable institutions, University of Pennsylvania, companies and institutions that are using this platform. And Evan Yu, the creator of Vue.js, had some good stuff to say about it. NativeScript Vue is a great option if you want to build a native app and enjoy Vue's syntax at the same time. Like I said, the learning curve was 0. You go right into writing mobile apps if you are familiar with Vue. So we're gonna get started right in it. There's 2 ways to get started. You can install it on your local machine, or you can use the playground. We're not going to use the playground, mostly because I don't really use the playground. I just go right into the command line and build my apps. But feel free to, if you don't have a computer, if you're at the library or something like that, you know, feel free to use the playground to get started. But we're going to just go through getting started with NativeScript and Vue.js. So we're not going to be building a whole app in this video. I really wanted to keep this short. I really want this to be an introduction into what it can do. And then in the next video, we're going to actually get into the coding of it. So we're going to build the app, and I'm going to make the GitHub so everybody can go ahead and download the repository, so that next week when we start coding, everybody can just get right into it. So if you want to get started, we're going to open up the terminal. Oh no, I want to go to the Vue.js documentation. Vue integration. That's where I want to go. Involve NativeScript tools locally. All right, this is where I want to show you. All right, so open up your favorite terminal application. I already have all this installed on my machine, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. Let's make my terminal smaller. I want this over here. Well, that's crap. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. All right. So let's exit out of this. So to install the NativeScript CLI, you're going to install it as a global npm package, okay? So we're going to just simply run the command npm install. We're going to pass the G flag, which tells npm to install this as a global package, and install NativeScript. So I guess let's go ahead and do that. Let's clear the screen. I might have to do that as sudo. Like I said, I already have this installed, so, and I don't think there's an update. Go ahead and terminate this. Go ahead and terminate this. But anyway, so I already have it installed. And if you're on Windows, make sure that you check your system requirements that you have the Android SDK installed. If you're on Mac, you want to have Xcode installed as well as Android SDK. And if you're on Linux, you want to make sure you have Android SDK. And why is that? Well, one, you can only do iOS development on Mac OS. So you cannot do Mac development unless you are using a Mac OS system. And Mac OS can also do Android development. So that's the only platform where you can do both iOS and Android. Now, I believe NativeScript does have a cloud service where you can write the code and then send your code off to deploy on their server. And I think it's a paid service. I might be mistaken on that, but I want to say, that is the case. So after you install NativeScript by running this command, you're going to head back over here and now we got to set up the the NativeScript view, which I believe is, yep, here we go. Setting up NativeScript view. So once again, we're going to install a global package, but this time we're going to install the Vue CLI, which is the command line interface for Vue.js. And then we're going to install the CLI init program for, and I'm assuming that's for NativeScript. No, I'm sorry. CLI init is a sister program that allows you to scaffold Vue applications. So we're gonna use the Vue init command to create a new application using native Vue's default template. Yeah, that's what I thought it had to be sudo, but whatever. Let me head over to my programs directory. So after you run the npm install command, you're going to run Vue init. You're going to call the NativeScript Vue, the Vue CLI, and then you're going to give it a template. Now the NativeScript Vue CLI comes with multiple templates, and I'm about to get to that. And then the name of your application. All right, so let's head over here and let's upgrade guide. Oh no, it actually is the name. Actually is template. My bad. I'm confusing different frameworks. All right, so I'm just gonna copy this Vue init NativeScript Vue CLI template command, and then we're gonna call this. What kind of application do we want to write? Anybody have any suggestions? We got. Let me pull up the Facebook video, and then also need to pull up the YouTube video. Let's see. We don't have anything on there. And we don't have anything on there. Let's do something that's not terribly complicated for the first one. Why don't we do an expense tracker? Yeah. Why don't we do an expense tracker? So basically, you just pull out the app. You put in the amount, the amount in the description, and it saves it to local database. And then we'll just go from there. How about that? So we're going to do expense tracker. And let's see. Let's see. Project name, expense tracker. Yes. Project description. A simple expense tracker, expense tracking application that saves, a simple expense track application. Let's do that. Application name, expense tracker. Unique application identifier. Well, let's do org.mastershake08.expense tracker. Project version 1.0.0. Author Jerome Parker, jerome.parker@gmail.com. License MIT. All right, select a preset. This is what I was thinking of when I said template. It's the presets. Now, which one do I want to do? I'm going to do simple, tab view, and a side drawer. A side drawer, if I remember off the top of my head, is a side menu bar. Tab views got different tabs at the top, and the simple is just one page. Side drawer would be, let's keep it simple for right now. Install Vuex state management. I want to do Vuex for the first one. We want to do Vuex for the first one. Let's see. Install Vue Dev Tools. Yeah, let's install Vue Dev Tools. Light theme. Let's see what pick a theme. We got light theme. We have lime theme. We have orange theme. We have purple theme. We have ruby theme. We have sky theme, aqua theme, blue theme, brown theme, dark theme, forest theme, gray theme, lemon theme, and lemon theme. And then it goes back over. Let's see. Lime kind of reminds me of money, but I always like a dark background. What do I want? What do I want? We want lime or dark? Let's go dark because black is beautiful. All right. Cool. So we have generated this application, and you know what? Let's go ahead and just build the application now, because I don't think it's going to be that dang, the emulator. See, I build all my stuff on real devices. I guess I can run it on iOS. This is going to take forever to compile. All right, cool. So let's cd into our expense tracker application. And the first thing we need to do is we need to install our dependencies. So, like I said, you know, we are using npm. Now, do we need? Let's head over to the plugin store, the NativeScript plugin store. Using NativeScript plugins. And here we go. NativeScript plugins are NPM packages that add with some added native functionality. Blah 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 blah. Official marketplace is what I was looking for. All right. So NativeScript has this awesome marketplace where you can find all of these wonderful plugins to put into your application, thus enhancing its functionality. Oh crap, my grandmother needs me to call her. All right, so, oh no. So these are recently added, recently updated, all plugins. All right, that's what I was looking for. So right now there's currently 894 different plugins that are available on the store, okay? And I don't think we need any. Let me see. Actually, well, we're going to be doing stuff with the database. We got a local database. Oh, no. All right, let's see. We got... SQLite, Firebase. Yeah, I think SQLite is good enough for what we're doing. I'm streaming. All right, so we'll have to do TNS plugin, add NativeScript SQLite. All right. So when you install the a NativeScript plugin, you need to use npm instead of TNS. So NativeScript by itself uses the TNS program, not npm, to manage the packages. But when you use NativeScript Vue, you need to install only using npm. So all the naming of the packages are the same. So all you gotta do is just grab the name. In this case, it's NativeScript-SQLite. And we're gonna do npm install -- save, because we want this to save to the package.json. And then we're gonna do NativeScript-SQLite. And this should, in theory, maybe not, it should install everything, including NativeScript SQLite. Yeah, so it just add that one package. All right, cool. So that's going to be the only external package that we're going to be using right now. So let's go ahead and install everything else. Let it do its thing. And all right, cool. All right, so while I was doing that, let me go ahead and create the repository. Go ahead and put this on GitHub. About to move everything over to Bitbucket. I don't like Microsoft buying GitHub. That's another topic for another day, I suppose. All right, so we got, let's do a new repository. expense tracker mobile. Simple expense tracking application written in NativeScript. Vue. Public. We don't need to initialize it with a README. Create repository. All right, so you'll be able to clone this repo at github.com/mastershake08/mobile expense tracker. Actually, I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, it's still installing. Let me type that out in the chat so you guys can see that. PS. Expense tracker mobile. All right, sent that on Facebook and then on YouTube, and now we're gonna send it on Facebook. If it will let me paste. Okay, gotta type it out again. Is this done yet? Nope. I need to get a faster Mac. Or maybe just not get a Mac at all. The only reason I have this Mac, so I got it at a very cheap price. But you know my hatred for Apple. /expense tracker mobile. All right, there it is on Facebook for everybody watching on Facebook. All right, so then I need to initialize the Git repository over here. This current project contains a webpack.config.js located at yada 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 that differs from the one in the new version of the NativeScript dev webpack. Some of the plugins to the network expected to manually update or automatically update using. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, so NativeScript has installed Webpack and has everything configured. So now we can run and build our Android applications by running the TNS build commands. So, oh yeah, git init, create this initial repository, git add-a, we add all of the files, and then we're finally going to do a commit. We're going to do a init commit as the message, and then we're going to add the remote and push to master. Now. All right, now let's open up Atom. And we're gonna add a project folder, expense tracker. All right, and we have our components. Let's open that up. Yeah, this is fine. All right. We got a main.js. I just noticed it did not ask me if I want to use Vue Router. I guess they took that out. All right, so the first thing you might notice if you open up the main.js file is that when you're initializing the Vue instance, there is no element property, and that's because there is no DOM when you're using Vue.js with NativeScript. Remember, it's using XML, NativeScript XML, to build out the components. So you don't need that at all. The next thing that you're going to notice is that if you open up app.vue, which is the only component in this application, this is not, once again, this is not regular HTML because there is no DOM. Everything is still within a template tag, but you're using XML, NativeScript XML, to actually build out your components. So let's go through this. We have a page component, which represents a page on your mobile application. When you open up the app, the first page that you see will be this page that says "Hello World." We have the action bar at the top. That's going to show the title up at the top of the application. We have a grid layout, which is going to format all of our components in a grid-like fashion. And then inside this, we're going to have one label that has a text value using Vue.js bindings that's going to bind this text variable to this message data variable that we have. And we're just saying it takes up 0 rows and 0 columns. And then we go down to the actual script, the default export, or export default, and we have the data function that returns the message variable. And then finally, we have the CSS down here at the bottom, where they're styling the action bar and styling the messages. So let's go ahead, just for the fun of it, let's go ahead and just run this. So let's do tns run iOS. What's going on? Is that the right command? Know what's going on here. Oh, it is right. Okay, that was the right command. Oops. All right, so while I'm gonna go ahead and spin up a instance on iOS just so we can see what it looks like as it builds. Let's do that. Let's see, tns help. Oh man, this is taking forever. Okay, there we go. All right, platform. Oh, I didn't add the platform. All right, TNS, we got to add the platform. We're going to add iOS. Well, I guess we could run this setup command. So we can see right here, it's running its Xcode build and it's doing everything it needs to do to build and run on iOS. Depending on your hardware, it's going to take a minute. But we also, let's go back over to vulnerable dependencies. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Hope they'll fix these vulnerable dependencies. Okay. All right, cool. So we got expense tracker, and awesome. It tells you how to get started. So go ahead and clone this repository when you have the chance. All right. So well, I'm gonna leave this here, this message, right? Yeah, I'll leave this message right here in the meantime, just until this we build it, because I want you to see what the build looks like. All right, awesome. TNS run iOS. All right, and let's make sure that that's running. Building. And it might fail the first time because sometimes the VM takes longer to start up than the build time takes, or I don't know what causes it, but it says it fails and then the VM comes up and then you have to run it again. Something I've noticed. And once again, it might just be my machine. This is a really old machine. Oh, that's what I was doing. All right, cool. So the other data that we're gonna have an expenses array. Okay. So this array is gonna hold all of our expenses that we put into our SQLite database on startup. Okay. And every time that you save a new expense, is gonna, after it saves it to the database. After it saves it to the database, it's going to push that expense into that new expense into this array. We're also going to have a text field called amount. Well, 0.00. And then we're going to have a text field called description. You know, I kind of feel like making the expenses. Nah, that's doing too much right now. All right, cool. So we have data. Let's do on created. We want to instantiate and initialize our SQLite object. So let's head over to this documentation because I've never used it before. This is released on the commercial relational language commercial version for your projects. Coming soon, multi-threading. I'm going to sign the encryption, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Webpacking, if you're including your own SQLite, webcam, blah, 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 blah. All right, to use the SQLite module, you must first require it. So let's also make a SQLite object. We'll just call it SQL. Make that an object. We're going to do a require. We need to require it. We'll just put this up here at the top. We're going to set this dot SQL equal to I guess we can just do it like this. So we set the SQL object to view. After you have referenced the module, you can then call the available methods. Which are the available methods? You plan on shipping database, blah, 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 blah. That's not what I'm doing. Methods. All right. New SQLite. Parameters takes a DB name, options, and a callback. Your database name, this can be memory for a memory database. This can be for a temporary database. Okay. Options read only. If set to true, make the database read only. For opening encrypted databases. Encrypted databases. Yeah, do that. All right, let's just look at example. All right. Oh, I see what they did there. Let me just do SQLite instead. All right, this .sql equals new SQLite, and then it has a function with the callback error and database. Okay, it's new SQLite. We're gonna call this expenses, and this takes in an error or a DB. Error DB. If error, we're gonna, console.log it. All right, cool. If error, console.log. Oops, something went wrong. Okay. And save that. Otherwise, new promise or new. Oh, okay, and then it's the dot then function. Well, that's stupid. Why they do it like that? That's really dumb. Okay, so we'll just do a dot then right here. All right, so otherwise we got the database. Let's make a database. Make a database object. We need to reference that.db equals db. We're going to set the database equal to that. All right, so it's searching for devices, which I don't have any plugged up right now. All right, cool. All right, is SQLite. It checks to see if an object is a SQLite database. Okay. SQL exists. Okay. Exec SQL, which is what we will be doing. Close the database. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, cool. So I'm just looking over this documentation. Like I said, I've never used this package before. So let's make up some functions. Let's make up some methods. So first thing we want to do is insert, or not insert, add expense. Wait, no, I can't do it like that. I'm tripping. All right, function. All right, so we got add expense. We have, let's just do add and delete. Yes, and get expenses. All right. So we're going to add expense, which is going to do a SQL insert query. So SQL insert query and then push to expenses array. In the delete expense, we're going to do a SQL delete query. And then we're also going to remove from expenses array. And then the get expenses, we're going to do a SQL get query. And then we're going to push to expenses array. Okay. So I'm just doing some pseudocode and what have you right here so that you know I can easily go back to it. So right here we got the DB, and then we're gonna call this, or my bad, that dot get expenses. Okay. So we're doing this in the created. So we're going to instantiate the SQLite object. Okay. After it's instantiated, we're going to set the database object, the data object, and then we're going to call that dot get expenses, which in turn is going to do the raw SQL query. And oh, awesome! They got database.get function. Go select. Okay. All right, cool. So we're gonna do this dot db dot get yeah, okay. So the syntax for this is db.get, you put your query, and then you have your callback function. So it's gonna be this dot db.get, and then we're gonna do select star from expenses. Yeah, just select star from expenses, and then we got error row, and then it's gonna be okay for each. All right. So we're gonna do row dot for each, and then we're gonna have item, and then we're gonna just do a simple that dot expenses dot push item. that should, yeah, that should theoretically should work. Let's see what's going on here. Still searching for devices. There might be something wrong with that. All right. And then let's do oh snap, I didn't create the table. I need to create the expenses table. But first we need to check the version. If the version equals 0, okay. So this.db.version, all right. Okay, so I thought error version. So we're going to check if the version is equal to 0. If it is, it's the first time database was open. So we're going to do what was it? Raw SQL. Exec SQL. Right, table expenses. Let's see, we need an ID. We need a description and we need an amount. SQL. We need the ID. We need the all right. If not, all right. Yeah. Create table expenses, and then let's see, what was it? Oops. We want ID as integer as a primary key. It's been so long since I've done raw SQL. So used to doing frameworks. All right, we got the integer, we got the raw key. We have the amount, and that's gonna be a string. or it's not string, it's text. And that's going to be not null. And then we want to have a description, and that's going to be text, and that's going to be not null. And that needs to be that dot db dot. Maybe I should put this in. Okay, I guess it didn't matter. That's just really bothering me. Oh, something just popped up. Hey, is it running? Unable to find applicable devices to execute operation. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. The simulator has to load up first. At least on my computer. I just think it's because it's really slow. All right, we got the create statement. All right, if version equals 0. All right, and then what I'll do here is do an else. That dot get expenses. So if the version is equal to 0, we're going to create the SQL, and then we don't need to get expenses, we just need to add expenses. Otherwise, we're going to get the expenses. Cool, cool. All right. And let's do delete. So delete expense. Delete expense is going to take an ID. And then we're going to do this dot db dot exec SQL. So we want to delete from expenses where ID is equal to the ID passed in. So I'm going to do delete from expenses where where ID equals, then it's question mark